Hey, Suanna. Suanna.
She's not listening.
Hey, come on. You need to listen to your nana.
Black performers have been known to flip the script and use whiteface as early as the 1800s and early 1900s, a shocking twist considering the racial climate back then. It wasn't just makeup, it was a tool, a way to poke holes in stereotypes and to tell stories that otherwise would have been silenced. In a time when Black entertainers had almost no control over how they were seen, putting on whiteface became a sneaky form of social commentary, a way to survive and push boundaries at the same time. Fast forward to the modern era and it's been reinvented, turning into an edgy mix of comedy and critique. Legends like Eddie Murphy, Martin Lawrence, and Dave Chappelle mastered it on stage and on screen.
Whoa, hey, some dude just gave me this picture of margaritas. Whoa, this hotel is Bossa Nova.
Using whiteface not just for laughs, but to highlight the absurdity of racial double standards. These weren't just jokes, they were statements wrapped in humor so sharp it cut through the noise. When Eddie played a white character on SNL, or when Chappelle walked into a skit as a white newscaster, people laughed but also squirmed, and that tension was the point. And now here we are in 2025 with social media turning these moments into cultural lightning storms. This week, comedian dropped a brand new skit where he went full-blown whiteface at a NASCAR event, a setting already loaded with cultural baggage.
Here's the love. Here's the honor. If you can't come in her, come on her. Yeah! Yeah! USA! Woo!
The video went viral instantly, spreading across TikTok, Instagram, and X like wildfire. People couldn't decide if it was pure comedy genius or a social experiment gone too far. The laughter was loud, but so was the discomfort. And that uneasy mix is exactly why it blew up. But the real chaos began after the share. Comedian Theo jumped in on X, stirring the pot with his own take. He wrote, "Wow, anyone do hair and makeup hit my DMs? I feel a Jerry curl coming on now." That one line lit the comment section on fire. Some fans joked along, others side-eyed the post, and plenty wondered if Theo was serious about doing blackface or just clowning for attention. Suddenly, the debate wasn't just about DK's skit, it turned into a bigger fight about double standards, race, and comedy's limits in 2025.
Let's talk about the Druski thing. Number one, I might have a controversial take on this, but it's genuinely how I feel. That shit was fucking hilarious. And anybody who was offended by that is just, why? What's the point? That shit was funny. I mean, he fucking nailed it. I don't give a shit about nothing but the tat. Do you know how many people in my family are like this? As someone from the South who loves college football, I mean, we're Georgia fans, don't get me wrong. These people exist in my family. We make fun of them. It is fucking hilarious. If you can't learn to laugh at yourself and you get offended by everything, like, welcome to victim world, go back. I don't know why are we offended by everything? And most of the people who are the ones who are offended by this are the ones who say, well, can't comedy go back to being comedy? Why is everybody offended by everything? Okay, well, here we are, bitch. Time to shine. There's nothing fucking offensive about this. It's hilarious.
What's wild is that many white users online actually rushed to defend the skit, brushing it off as nothing more than edgy humor. Some even said they weren't offended at all and thought it was hilarious. Meanwhile, others whispered that if the roles were reversed, the outrage would be explosive.
Y'all saw the Druski video with NASCAR. And I have been seeing black content creators on TikTok talking about how we can't claim whiteface because a black man did white makeup. Because there's no historical significance. It doesn't matter if there's historical significance. You are being a hypocrite doing something you claim that you don't want people doing to you, you are doing to other people. That is hypocrisy at its finest. It doesn't matter if it's racist. You can't claim that you are allowed to do something and someone else isn't, and then use morality, history, and race as a base. It's stupid, it's idiotic, and it's the height of hypocrisy. Do better, people.
That tension between what's funny and what's offensive is the fire that keeps this debate burning hotter than ever. The reactions online came fast, and the word that kept popping up again and again was funny. On X, the floodgates opened and people had plenty to say. One white user flat out wrote, "For future reference, we as white people aren't offended by Druski's white face. Literally nobody cares, and it's funny." That bluntness set the tone for what many were feeling. This wasn't a controversy, this was comedy gold. Another chimed in, taking the joke even further, saying, "Whiteface with sunburn is unbelievable." Hope Druski paid that makeup team well. That line alone had thousands hitting the repost button because it captured what people couldn't stop laughing at: the details. The makeup was so over the top, it looked like a caricature straight out of a Hollywood film, and that exaggerated touch is what made it both hilarious and uncomfortable at the same time. Even on Instagram, where the New York Post had reposted the clip, the comment section was lit up with praise. One NASCAR fan stepped in to shut down any whispers of outrage, saying, "As a white NASCAR fan, I have only one thing to say. This is hilarious and accurate." That wasn't just approval. That was a full stamp of authenticity from the very crowd the skit was poking fun at. When the people being represented laugh along, it only fuels the idea that maybe the controversy is being cooked up by the media and not the audience. And just to seal it, another user boldly declared, "Nobody is offended. We all think it's funny. The media wants there to be a controversy. He looked like he had a great time." That comment exploded with likes, showing how many agreed. The narrative was flipping right before our eyes. The fans weren't mad, they were entertained. But not everyone was clapping and laughing. In the middle of all the applause, a small but loud crowd raised the question that always crashes these debates. What if things were reversed? That's when the mood shifted. Suddenly people were debating whether comedy should be a two-way street, and if blackface could ever be played off as just jokes. Some insisted the double standard was real, while others argued context is everything, that whiteface has never carried the same history of harm as blackface. The clash of opinions made the conversation even hotter, proving that one skit had sparked a firestorm way bigger than Druski probably ever imagined. How funny would it be, some critics asked, given that blackface has received so much backlash in history? Funny how it's okay when the roles are reversed, but if we do it, it's racism. That was the tone of dozens of posts that flooded the timeline, with frustrated users demanding to know why whiteface is brushed off as comedy while blackface sparks outrage. For some, it felt like hypocrisy. For others, it was just another example of how messy conversations about race and comedy always get. Interestingly enough, plenty of voices jumped in to break down exactly why the comparison doesn't hold. One white user went viral after delivering a full-on history lesson in a single post. They wrote, "Because blackface has historically been used as a way for white people to reinforce derogatory stereotypes about black folks, as a way of culturally reinforcing perceived white superiority. Whiteface, on the other hand, doesn't have those connotations because black folks have never oppressed white folks. It becomes more about turning a tool of oppression back on the oppressors and using it as a mirror." That explanation hit hard, gathering thousands of likes and shares as people debated whether that reasoning really settled the issue or not. But it didn't stop there. Others added fuel by pointing out that whiteface often exaggerates things like awkward dancing, stiff voices, or cultural quirks, while blackface historically mocked black people's intelligence, speech, and appearance in ways meant to dehumanize. The impact, they argued, isn't the same, and pretending it is ignores centuries of pain. Still, that didn't silence the critics. If anything, it made the divide sharper, with some refusing to let go of the double standard argument. And then came the most explosive take of them all. What Druski is doing is holding up this mirror to white folks who, unsurprisingly, don't much like what they see. That line circulated everywhere, framing the skit as more than just a joke. It was positioned as social commentary dressed up in comedy. Depending on who you asked, Druski was either a comedic genius pushing boundaries or a provocateur poking at wounds that didn't need reopening. Finally, Druski himself jumped into the storm. On Wednesday night, he reposted the video with a short but loaded caption, "Am I canceled?" That single question sent the internet into chaos all over again. Was he mocking cancel culture? Was he daring people to try? Or was he genuinely questioning if this skit had gone too far? The ambiguity only made the conversation bigger, with fans defending him as fearless and critics accusing him of gaslighting the backlash. So here's the real question. What's your take? Do you see Druski's skit as hilarious and harmless? Or do you think whiteface crosses the same line that blackface does? Is this comedy pushing the culture forward, or is it dragging us back into the same old cycle of division? One thing's for sure, the debate is far from over.